I'm Dusty Shellhammer. Been a resident of Midland since 2012, originally from Big Spring, Texas. Spent a career, 20-year career in the public service, firefighter, paramedic, police officer. I was a member of federal disaster response teams, traveled the world doing natural disasters, hurricanes, relief efforts, Oklahoma City bombing, World Trade Center, stuff to that degree. It's a real macho type career. Not a lot of room for God in that career, as just manly men doing manly things, and you don't want to show any signs of weakness, and good, solid, stout Christians aren't looked on as masculine, manly men. But in that 20 years doing that kind of stuff, I developed a lot of PTSD. World Trade Center disaster, classic example of some horrific things. Oklahoma City bombing was pretty brutal. Coming through all that, usually you'd go from one deployment to the next, and you just mash all those feelings down with the next deployment. So when I did my 20 years, I got out, all these emotions started to come out that I didn't realize I had trapped in. Really started developing a lot of anger issues. I had a lot of searching for things. I didn't know what I was searching for, but I was searching for something. Found it in disrespect to others. Found it in infidelity. And all of this stuff just kept building into a storm that obviously I'm not very proud of. I divorced my wife, pushed her away, pushed everybody away. Started trying to think that I was going to go out and do these things on my own. I didn't need anybody to help me. So I had a good friend that saw all this taking place, and he reached out to an organization called Mighty Oaks Warriors. They're a faith-based program that is designed to help military veterans recover from their PTSD. The head of that thing gave me a call and said, "Hey, what's going on in your life?" I'm like, nothing, I'm fine. He's like, "No, something's going on. Why don't you come out to our program?" And it's a faith-based program, and that kind of shut me off a little bit. I'm like, I don't need to go spend a week and people telling me about God. I got this. I didn't need the Bible thrown at me at this time. I thought I had all the answers. And we had already gone through a divorce. She had moved out. So finally he said, "What's it going to take to get you out here?" And I said, "Do you let me pay my own way? I'll come out, spend a week, and hang out." So I went to this program, and right out of the box, we had drill instructors in there talking to us and kind of telling us about, the men that God designed us to be and all of this. And all this stuff kind of started slowly creeping into my head. It was like, you know what? It's okay to be a man and openly love God. Not just love God, but openly love God. Because these guys were, war heroes, big, massive, burly Marines and Army drill instructors. And so as the week progresses, it just started getting into my heart. And we're all sitting on the back patio that evening. This was in California, and it's overlooking a hill. And one of the lead pastors of that organization was just carrying on a conversation about the day and what we've learned. And just out of the blue, he says, "Is anybody getting anything out of this week?" And I raised my hand, and he said, "What is it?" And I said, I'd like to be closer. I'd like to be closer to God." So he stood me up, put his arm around me, walked me off to the side, and we talked about it a little bit, and we said some prayers. This was September 9th, and we talked a little bit, and I asked God to come into my heart that day. That night, I texted Mara, told her about it. She was ecstatic. I think she even called her dad that day and said, "Hey, guess what? Even though we're divorced," she's like, "Guess what, Dusty finally accepted Christ." Well, that night, a calming kind of came over me. It was indescribable. I started to think, man, I got a whole lot of repairing to do. I got a whole lot of fixing to do of things that I've destroyed in this wake that I'd left behind me. And September 11th, we got up, we got everything going, and they had set up a baptismal and asked who wanted to be baptized. Naturally, I said, man, I do. So September 11th, I got baptized. Well, that changed the way I felt, because leading up to that point, September 11th was a day I dreaded for the stuff that we did at World Trade Center and everything else. Now it's just, it's a memorable day to me, but now it's my birthday in Christ. I mean, I found Christ on the 9th, but being baptized on September 11th just changed that whole day for me. That evening, we're getting ready to do this ceremony, and this lady walks up to me and she goes, "Are you Dusty Schellhammer?" I said, "Yes, ma'am." She goes, "Mara wanted me to give you this," and she hands me a bag. Well, in this bag was my very first Bible. She had given me my first Bible. I looked up and I saw her standing there, and I went over to hug her because she flew from Texas to California to see me graduate from this program. I gave her the biggest hug and I said, "Thank you for coming." And she put her hand on my chest and she said, "I didn't come here for you." She said, "I came here for God." She said, "For 8 years I've been asking God to come into your heart. And now that he did, I owed it to him to be here." She was there to support me, not in our marriage, but support me in my walk with Christ. So we get through the ceremony, we get through talking, and that opens up our bridge of communication and trying to open things back up and repair what I had damaged. Well, June 2nd, I will say that me and Mara got remarried. Got remarried. Far from perfect, never will be. But I still try to look at life in a whole different way. The term grace took on a whole new meaning to me, not only to give it, but to receive it. And to know that he gave the ultimate grace, and how simple it is for you to give it back to somebody else. Now I'm trying to push that on to other people, trying to help them and try to guide them and try to counsel them. And I really think that I'm connecting with more people that were like me, because I can show them that transition. You can be manly and you can be proud of who you are as a Christian. I'm doing what God has designed me to be, and I'm not ashamed to do it. I get the chance to go back. I'm going to be a team leader for the very first responders group for Mighty Oaks Warriors program. It's going to be led by first responders, for first responders only. Hopefully show some of those men that are struggling with their life what God did for me, and try to help open that door to let God walk into their heart. There's a reason for everything, and it's not for us to question that reason. It's for us to know that okay, this isn't the greatest moment of my life, but there's a reason why I'm going through this. And I don't have that built up anxiety and pressure and everything. And to have the faith and the trust in God that what he's giving to me right now, there's an end game to it all. There's a reason for it.